Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly. This is the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines, top 5 prog singles that have come out, and give you updates on the channel and what's going on here. It's always a very fun experience, so I hope you guys are having fun with it. And please subscribe if you haven't yet. I do these weekly shows, and it's always a lot of fun to keep people informed about all the latest in prog news. There's also many other types of shows on this channel, introducing you guys to new music and also discussing older progressive rock. So it's all here. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. And let's dive in. This is March 31st, 2023. I was actually not able to do a show last week. I was on a little bit of a mini vacation with my wife, so unable to put a show out. But this show kind of gives me a chance to do a little bit of catch-up work and to also introduce some new items that have come out. So kind of a scattershot type of show with a lot of different interesting bits of news here that I want to discuss. So hopefully it comes across well for you guys and has something of interest for you out there. So first item of news, I like to always talk about the newest releases, any new album releases that came out today or this weekend. On my list here, I have Crown Lands and their album Fearless. This is a duo from Canada, progressive rock duo. This very much like Rush-inspired sound. This is their full-length album that they've been teasing a lot of different tracks from. They even had a longer length track that I focused on the channel before. But really cool stuff. Really interested to talk more about it. It's very likely to be a new album spotlight in the future, so just wanted to put the attention towards Crown Lands and Fearless. Martin Miller has a new album called Maze of My Mind. I believe it's the first vocal album that he's done. He's done a instrumental album apparently. Martin Miller is a German progressive rocker who does a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of covers of different rock bands and different prog bands as well. Does a lot of these big medleys of different things with a really impressive band. So excited to check that one out. I know the single that he released was really well received and I really enjoyed it. Kind of a Dream Theater meets Toto style vibe. So I'm really interested to check out the full album. Also an album from Overhead called Telepathic Minds. This is a double album by, I believe they're a progressive band from Finland. Some strong melodies, driving riffs, and catching choruses. Really, some maybe Pink Floyd type vibes here from what I've heard. Some neo-prog sounds, some extended pieces, so that should be worth your attention. I've also heard a lot of interest in the new album by Sermon called A Golden Verse. This is more of a metal style album from a UK group. Maybe think of bands like Soen, Catatonia, Tool, Porcupine Tree, so more of that modern progressive metal type touch to it, but a lot of people are really speaking highly of this. I believe this is their second album after their 2019 debut, Birth of the Marvelous, so something to check out there, and just a lot of different releases. Really interesting release day today. A lot of stuff that's not really maybe very well known, but a lot of cool obscure bands releasing things. I also am a little bit interested in Deerhoof and their album Miracle Level, City and Color with the album The Love Still Held Me Near. There's just a lot of cool different albums. I'm sure there'll be even more in the comment section of albums to check out. So I always want to promote newer music. That's really one of my big goals on the channel. I know it's fun to talk about the classic prog bands and do lists of like their classic albums and classic songs, but I really want to showcase to people that there's so much great new music being made in this genre. It didn't die back in the late 70s. This is still a vibrant scene of music that people are still really making some great stuff with and rivaling some of the best stuff from the 70s for my money. So just want to keep you guys informed of that music and, keep that interest level high. So item number 2 on my list, Peter Gabriel announces some more North American shows for his run of his I.O. tour that's happening. So there's a lot of cool dates that we're seeing here. Newly added shows include Washington, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Palm Springs, Denver, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. So a lot of interesting markets being made here. This should be a really fun tour. Peter Gabriel's releasing tracks throughout the year for this upcoming album, I suppose. So it's really fun process and a lot of fun development behind Peter Gabriel and what he's doing. So it's somewhat of a can't miss concert if you're a big fan of Peter Gabriel and his music. Of course, these new singles are being released every full moon of the month, so really cool music being produced so far, and it should be a really cool tour running through September into October. Of course, there's also European dates as well in May and June, so a lot of touring being done by Peter Gabriel there. Moving on to item number 3, Steve Hackett has announced his Foxtrot at 50 North American tour. And he's releasing some 90s solo albums on vinyl for the first time. So a lot of cool Steve Hackett news. Of course, the legendary guitarist from the progressive period of Genesis has done a lot of touring with his little band that he works with, and it's a lot of fun to listen to them play classic Genesis material that a lot of people really love, and it's something I've always wanted to catch, and I just haven't yet. I know he's going to be on the Cruise to the Edge, so I'm excited to finally catch it there, if not at one of these dates that's coming up throughout October here this year and November. So it looks like it's basically focusing on the 1972 Genesis album Foxtrot, which of course is one of their absolute classic progressive masterpieces, and also additionally some great fan favorites. So should be a really great chance to see classics such as Watcher of the Skies and Supper's Ready, tracks that he does a lot in his touring, so nothing too new to his repertoire, but it should just be a fun package and a fun tour to get to hear all this classic prog material and some really great stuff. But also on the other side of the coin of the Steve Hackett news is a couple of 90s solo records being released on vinyl. His 1993 album Guitar Noir and the 1999 album Darktown being made available as gatefold 180-gram 2 LPs, newly remastered for the vinyl format. So this should be interesting for those fans of Steve Hackett's solo works. Admittedly, something I have to dive more into to really appreciate. I know some of the classic ones from way back in the 70s, and I know some of his more modern ones, but the 90s period is a little bit lesser known for me at least, but definitely some cool stuff to check out and some great Steve Hackett news to really get excited for. Item number 4, Marillion announced a deluxe edition of 1989's Season's End. So this is the first album, I believe, that featured Steve Hogarth on vocals, replacing their first singer Fish. So it basically has a lot of that sound of the Fish era, but bringing in a new singer and a little bit of a new vibe. So it's a really cool release that really a lot of people who are fans of that older school Marillion really enjoy. So this new version of the LP has been remixed by Marillion producer Michael Hunter and sounds notably richer than the original while still maintaining its original character, which is about what you'd want from a reissue like this. As well as offering 48/24 and 5.1 mixes of the album. The Blu-ray disc includes a bootleg mix of the February 1990 concerts in Montreal and a selection of demos and B-sides. Both formats also include the album performed live in its entirety on the Sunday night of the Marillion Weekend in Leicester, which took place May 29th, 2022. So a lot of stuff on offer for this big... Marillion has been doing these big, expansive packages of their classic albums, so this should be really a cool thing coming out May 19th in different formats, a 3 CD/Blu-ray and 5 LP 180-gram vinyl set. Should be a great classic to have in the collection if you're a big Marillion fan. So also, the first 4,000 orders purchased direct from the band across both formats will also receive a hand-signed A4 artwork print, so another incentive to want to get this release. Item number 5, IQ also are releasing an album as well, a triple vinyl Subterranea live album. So after a bunch of delays, apparently, this live triple vinyl of Subterranea is now available to purchase, it seems. Originally, the album was released in 1997. It was the band's sixth full-length studio album and an intense concept work that is very well celebrated and people love. You know, IQ is a notable neo-prog band that really rose to their heights around the same time as a band like Marillion, bringing more light onto this, what some people thought was a defunct prog genre. But this live version is what's coming out on the album format, triple vinyl, recorded in Zoetermeyer in October 2011. It's a different recording as the Subterranea concert CD that was released in 2000, so you get a little bit of a different experience with this one. A triple gatefold sleeve with printed inner sleeves, pressed on 3 different colored marbled vinyl discs. A great looking album for fans of IQ and their classic work here. So I wanted to mention that as item number 5. Couple of bonus things. Item number 6, I suppose, Moody Blues are also releasing a box set of one of their classic albums, To Our Children's Children, from 1969. This is going to be released through UMR on May 12th. The new version of the 5th studio album from the band is their second to be released in 1969, along with On the Threshold of a Dream. And this release features remastered original stereo mix, along with new stereo and 5.1 surround sound mixes by Stephen W. Taylor. The new box set also features various B-sides and alternate versions, as well as a rare BBC radio concert from December 1969. So really cool, expansive set. Once again, it seems to be a common thread that all these classic bands are re-releasing their classic albums on newer formats and just including a lot of bonus content and a lot of great stuff. So I think that's something to be anticipating. And on the newer prog spectrum, I also wanted to mention that Norwegian group Avkrist release a video for their single The Pale Moon from their upcoming debut, The Approbation. So this is a Norwegian prog band that signed to Inside Out Records. They released this single digitally a while back. I included it as one of my items on my prog singles list, but now they've released an official video and have released a little bit of additional news about their upcoming album. They're a band that sounds very much like Opeth, classic Opeth, I think, from what I heard in the single. So really great sound. It sounds really crisp and clear, great production, and just a great young band to watch for that has a lot of the same interests in music that I tend to. So of course that raises the interest level. But their new album, their debut album, The Approbation, is being released on June 16th. So definitely one I'm going to be looking at closely and potentially featuring on the channel. So really cool stuff there. There's a lot to cover here, and I'm sure there's a lot of news over the last couple weeks that I've been missing as well, that a lot of you can kind of fill in those gaps perhaps in the comments section if you're so inclined. But now I have the prog singles list, which is just as impressive and cool. Try to pare it down to 5 really cool tracks that I think you guys will like. There's others that I could have included, but I'm boiling it down to these 5. The first is from Supersonic Revolution, which is Arjen Lucason's upcoming project. The track is called The Rise of the Starman, which features vocals that really lean into this David Bowie glam rock style concept. So basically, from what I understand, the album that's coming May 14th, Golden Age of Music, is really focused on that music of the early 70s, this glam rock, art rock style that like people like bands like Sweet and David Bowie and artists like that really popularized. Alice Cooper. So it's really leaning into that sound, and this is a great track from it, The Rise of the Starman. Lyrically, it's about Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, but musically, it's a more melodic song than their previous single, and so it's just got some amazing vocals, blistering guitar and Hammond solos, and it's just a really cool, almost reminds me of like a Deep Purple or one of those style bands, just really cool, hard driving rock music with a little bit of a prog twist, so I really like that. Number 2, sorry to butcher the name, but Lars Fredrik Frosli from Wobbler, the keyboardist of the band Wobbler, an incredible band that's one of my favorite modern prog groups, released a track from his upcoming album. The track is called Et Sted under Himmelvelvet. This is basically a really cool classic prog sounding track with a lot of cool classic prog instruments. The new album Fire for Tillinger comes out through Charisma Records on June 10th. So it just sounds really fantastic. This is an album that could be high on my list of favorites just based on the sound of it. It sounds like a lot of this material was intended for a Wobbler album, but it just never came to fruition because of the pandemic and different issues as well. So it's coming out under this solo banner, which I think is really interesting. So I'm really interested about that and what possibilities could be there for that album. But there's no English lyrics. It's all done in their native tongue. So that's an interesting aspect of it as well. But I really like the sound of this. I think this is a real standout for this week. Another standout track, Seven Impale released a track called Icaros. This is a Norwegian prog rock band. It's been a while since their previous release, but I really love this band. They have almost a jazzier style at times, almost this King Crimson-esque darkness. This track has a bit of heavier riffs and really darker sounds. It's really cool. I recommend you check that out. Their new album is coming out May 26th called Summit, so that should be cool. I have a track from Terra Maze also in the list called Chaos in the Way from their upcoming release Dalla Volta, which is featuring some new material alongside reimagined versions of songs from some of their prior albums. So this is due out April 27th, not too far away. Really cool melodic metal stuff that just really catchy and hooky, and I really like it. It's really fun music. And then item number 5, a personal favorite, Exploring Birdsong, their track No Longer We Lie, a UK melodic prog act that recently came out with an EP that this track is from called The Thing with Feathers, or actually that was their earlier EP, but this EP is called Dancing in the Face of Danger. It's a really cool EP, so I wanted to focus on it and give it a chance to shine here. So, all right, as for updates for the channel itself, really had a really cool week this week. I was really happy with the reception of some of the videos this week. I did a Prog Song Sunday with Jana for Genesis Classic Dancing with the Moonlit Night, which got a lot of views and a lot of people really loved that track. Jana was a little bit worried about that one because she maybe made some mistakes in what she heard in the song and stuff, but I assured her that people were going to really like that one, and I think it bared out. That was a really great episode that I was really happy to put out there. I also did a review of Rain and their album Radio Silence, a really great neo-prog, quirky, with pop influences kind of sound. Really cool album that I recommend you guys look at the review of if you haven't yet. And then I did a top 5 of top 5 albums that inspired progressive rock. Basically what I call proto-prog albums that came out that aren't technically prog, but really inspired the genre before it really came into fruition. Albums prior to King Crimson's In the Court of the Crimson King was basically my metric. So check out that show. There's been a lot of comments, a lot of interest. That was one of my most viewed videos this week. I'm really happy about the reception to that one. So thank you guys so much for your support on that video. This week I have a couple of really cool album reviews that I've been wanting to get out there. So the focus is going to be more on new album reviews from a couple of notable bands, maybe a bit more obscure. Kite Parade's newest album called Retro is one I'm going to cover, as well as an album by Jason Bieler. So it should be a cool week with some really cool new releases to talk about, and then a cool Prog Song Sunday with a very well-beloved modern symphonic prog band. So I'm excited to put that one out there as well. So it should be another fun week. Hoping also to do a collaborative video with some of my fellow YouTubers that I'll definitely be putting your attention towards, basically summing up this quarter in progressive rock for the year of 2023. So a lot of cool stuff coming out this week. It should be a fun week, and I hope you guys have liked the show and are interested in all this new prog music that's coming out like I am. So thank you guys so much for your support, for joining me in this episode, and please keep enjoying the music out there wherever you are. And I hope you'll join me for future episodes. So thank you so much for the support. See you guys. Bye.